All right, today's assignment, contrasting words. What you're going to do is, now that many of you have Illustrator, you're going to go to Illustrator and do a create new document. Okay, and once this loads, we want to keep the 8.5 by 11 inch. So make sure you're on the letter size. It's on inches. Now, depending on the two words you choose, you need to choose the two words first. Decide if it's going to be a portrait or a landscape. And you're going to name your document first initial, last name, contrasting words. Make sure that you only have one artboard. Okay, it's no big deal if you have more. And then you're going to click create. So the two words that I'm going to be using for this example is tall and short. So Illustrator is much easier than Vectornator, and I want to thank you for using Vectornator for the time being. Some of you are going to have to continue using Vectornator if you have a Chromebook, but we can make it work. For this, you could just click your whole word, and you can stretch it to make it illustrate what the word is saying. So since my word is tall, I want to use a visual literacy of showing that my words are actually tall. So in order to do that, I'm going to stretch my word using the top anchor and the bottom anchor to make them nice and skinny and tall. To emphasize this, I'm actually going to type my word all in capital letters. And I also might want to find a bolder font in order for me to use this word. Tall is usually very grand, and I think this font is not the best choice. So I can highlight my word even after I stretch it out, and I can go through my fonts and find a font that I want to use. I kind of already have one in mind. I want to use Impact. And then, of course, I'm going to have to manipulate it a little more just using my black arrow. Remember, the black arrow is your selection tool, so it helps with the free transform qualities, where the white arrow is good for creating, the anchor points, manipulating the anchor points. Right, so now I'm working on my word short. Again, I want to find a font. It could be the same font or something different. I think for this one, maybe I'll just keep it the same, just for time's sake. But again, remember, your goal is to create these words in the same composition, but the words should be illustrating what they're actually saying. Right, so for short, I want to find the type character menu, right, because I want to play with the spacing between my letters. Right, so I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. So spacing between my letters, as I scroll my mouse over these numbers, the negatives, they make them closer, positives make them far apart. So I'm going to stick with 200, and now I'm going to stretch them out. Back to my selection tool. Stretching. All right, so now it definitely looks short compared to my tall word. The one thing I do want to change is I want to put these words in capital letters as well. And then I'm going to make it fit right underneath of the word tall. There we go. And then what I want to do is I want to highlight both and kind of give it a little more room up the top of my composition there. My letters are just about touching the edge of that page. I mean, it could be really cool maybe if I extended it off the page. I didn't think about that. But I'm just going to kind of put them into place. And then I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Save. And then it's going to bring me here. We need to start staying organized. So what I'm going to recommend is that create a new folder that's called Design with Text. Right, and we could put all our images and files into this. Right, you want to save your live document, so you want to save your Illustrator document. But in order to submit this assignment, you want to go to File. You want to go to Save As. Keep it the same title, but you want to change it to Adobe PDF, and then click Save. Okay, and this is the document that you will submit to get credit. All right, and for this word, if you wanted to manipulate the anchor points of your font, you would go to Type, and then you would scroll down to under type. Yeah, you want to go to create outlines. Okay, we learned this right before we left. If you go to your white arrow, now you can manipulate all the anchor points depending on the words that you choose. This does not necessarily work for the example that I have here, but depending on the words that you choose, it might be very helpful.